in years. But it looks cool.
Does anyone know what the name of that was on top of that hill?
This is the oldest part of Dollywood back in the day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my daily vlog channel. It's good morning to you guys because you guys will probably be seeing this in the morning when I upload it. But it's actually past 11 o'clock at night. As I showed you earlier, I worked today, had a nice drive home from work, blasted some music, enjoyed the scenery, came home, and had a little bit of dinner. I had a vegetable hummus wrap from Trader Joe's, which was amazing. Basically, you have hummus and then like some cabbage and all that kind of stuff in it. It was so delicious. I love hummus and I love it. I love all that stuff. And so I had that for dinner, and we watched some of the Olympics. We watched some Office. We caught up on the latest 3 days worth of Adam the Woo's Daily Woo videos. And yeah. Now, there's one thing I want to address right off the bat. Lately, people have been asking me questions, and in the comments, I say I'm gonna get to them in the next video. Sometimes that actually does not work out because I forget, my brain and so I'm going to get to them tomorrow. I am dedicating not the whole vlog, but part of the vlog to catching up on all those questions in the video. So I think I got about 5 or 6 questions already. So by the time you see this, I would have already started yesterday's vlog. So the ones that are going to be in tomorrow's vlog are already accounted for. I already have those questions set aside. So some of you I just have forgotten. I apologize. I am very sorry. I've been very busy, and I mean, it's easy for me to comment and answer those questions like that, but some of these questions, you've asked me to ask them in a video. Some of them are questions I would rather say in a video than just in a text. So so tomorrow I'm going to be dedicating some time to answering some questions. I'm going to pull out my laptop. I'm going to pull up this channel, and I am going to look through the video comments and see some questions that I already pretty much know what they are, but I want to make sure I don't miss them. And if I do, I'll do them in another video. And now for the story that I was going to be talking about yesterday that I didn't end up talking about. I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's vlog. I really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed talking about that topic of, friendships and how people come in and out of your life, and you invest time in people's lives and life takes you in other directions. It's very bittersweet. It's beautiful and bittersweet at the same time, and I love talking about it. That's what draws me and a lot of people in general to nostalgic things, that makes you feel nostalgic for other stuff in the past and everything like that. And in a way, it could be bad because we remember things in a little bit more, I guess, glorified way than they actually were when we were going through it at the time. And the problem is that people rely so much on nostalgia that they feel depressed about the future because you feel like the good times have passed you by, when in reality you think back and you only think about the good things. And so nostalgia is great and everything, but I have to remind myself too, when I think, man, those are the easy days, those are the good days. They actually weren't. I was younger, didn't have responsibilities, that kind of thing, but there was some tough stuff. Parents getting divorced, friendships. It was not easy being a kid, but it's different than being an adult, and that's what shapes you into being an adult. But I guess what I'm really trying to say is, it's kind of like when you think of a job. Say you work a few years at a job, and then towards the end you're like, man, I cannot stand it here, cannot stand it here, cannot stand it here. I can't wait to leave. And then you leave, time goes by, a few years go by, and you're thinking about other job and the people that you met there. And at times you start to miss them and say, man, that actually was a pretty good job. It's because you're only remembering the positive stuff. You're not remembering the negative stuff, which is great. You're remembering the positive stuff, but you got to be realistic about it. It's kind of like another episode. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Bourdain, and I remember when he was doing No Reservations, he did the episode where he went back into the restaurant and actually was a line cook, and he was on the line cooking food like he did 20 years prior, and he said that it was such a romanticized time in his life, thinking back to those days, that when he did it again, he realized that it was hard work, and it was stressful, and your blood pressure goes up, and I've been a line cook at a restaurant before, so I know exactly how that is. But he said that I don't know what the exact quote is, but I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, when you think back to stuff, you only remember the good things. You might remember a couple bad things, but the nostalgia stuff, the nostalgic feeling you get, is usually because of positive situations, and you forget the negative, and you forget why you left in the first place. And you could, do the same thing about friends and stuff growing up. You know, we had some great times, some friends of mine growing up, but life pulled us in different directions, and maybe it was for the better. Um, you know, that's life. Life works in mysterious ways, and you don't really know why certain things happen, but maybe it's for the better in some ways. Maybe um, going through all those growing up builds you into a better person when you're an adult, and makes you cherish relationships with adults so that much more. So enough of that. As you can tell, it's been on my mind a lot. So the story is, I was almost abducted by aliens. I had to have been about 9 or 10 years old. Let me think. Let's say 9 years old. I was 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old, around that time period. I had a friend. His name was Josh. He lived 3 blocks away. There was two Joshes that I hung out with. One lived 3 houses down. The other one lived 2 blocks down. I was hanging out with Josh 3 blocks down. He is the same person that I've talked about in the past that introduced me to Halloween, that introduced me to Day of the Dead, and those are two heavily influential films in my life that got me into film and horror film. War films and horror films really got me into my love of film. My older brother, Wayne, he actually got me into a bunch of other films. He showed me Indiana Jones for the first time. He showed me Children of the Corn for the first time, and stuff like that. And so there's a bunch of people on my mom, my dad. They've shown me movies over the years. My mom and my dad are heavily influential in my life with my love of film and TV. But anyways, Josh, me and him were very close. We hung out all the time. We traded trading cards all the time. He'd introduced me to comics, and it was around the same time that Spawn was like really popular, and I ended up getting like first edition Spawn comics that later I sold. That now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's neither here nor there. But me and him, we did a lot of stuff together, nerdy stuff. He introduced me to a bunch of stuff. He one summer, I think I was like 9 years old, so that would probably be the summer of, I don't know, it was either 96, 97, or 98. But I was a lot younger, so it was probably like 97. I'm not sure if my parents were divorced yet. So let's just say 97. That summer, we spent the whole summer watching UFO stuff. Like, I hung out with a bunch of other people too, but he hung out with those other people with me as well. We had like a neighborhood group, but me and him did some other stuff. We spent so much of that summer watching UFO stuff on Sci-Fi Channel. I've always been obsessed with space and aliens and all that kind of stuff. Um, I'll do a whole nother video of one time in the future talking about my opinions on aliens and artificial intelligence and um, extraterrestrial life and all that kind of stuff. Because I've always been fascinated by the subject. So we spent this whole summer watching um, UFO sighting shows on Sci-Fi Channel, the old Sci-Fi Channel, the one that didn't really, it wasn't like how it is now. It was the original Sci-Fi Channel that had all that UFO stuff, not like ancient aliens and stuff, but these were like straight up filmed on video, like UFO documentaries about eyewitness accounts of people seeing UFOs. And I remember that was all we could talk about. He's also the same person who helped get me into comics back then, like I said before, and I would draw them. He was an art. He loved art too. His dad loved art, and we would draw stuff, and I was just obsessed over, um, watching this stuff and reading about aliens and all this kind of stuff. And I remember that summer I played my first actual game of Dungeons and Dragons, the actual role playing game, and then I also did my first Magic the Gathering that summer. And so one weekend we were at his house. It was like one of the last weekends of the summer. And he started telling me that he saw aliens before. I was like, no, really? And he was like, yeah, I haven't been able to tell anybody about it because I just was so scared about the situation. And I was like, really? He's like, well, I also wanted you to come over tonight because the last time I saw one was last weekend, same night. And he told me that he did some research and he swears that it happens the same time in his neighborhood on that street every Saturday night. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. In my mind, I was a little skeptic. Didn't really actually believe him 100%. So he was like, you know what? When my parents go to bed, when my brother goes to bed, we're going to watch, we're going to go ahead and watch our movie. We'll watch like Halloween or something like that. Then we went back into his room. I had my little, sleeping bag on the floor. He was on his bed. And he reached over to his, nightstand. And he pulled out a compass. And he said, after 11, this compass will point to where the aliens are going to land. And I was just like, what? This doesn't make sense. So I started getting really tired, kind of dozed off and on. He kind of did the same thing, but randomly he shot up and was like, oh my gosh, they're coming. It was pitch black outside, nothing was there, and I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, look, the compass, the north part of the compass, the arrow was pointing north, and he said every time it points north, that's where the aliens are going to be. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, every time it's pointing north. And so he would go like this, and it was stuck at north. It was stuck at north, and it was a fake kind of broken compass. So it was always at north. And he was like, look, it's at north, and it's pointing that way. But yet, it's actually not north, that's east. That's how I know this is a tool. They're showing where it's at. I was so confused by it, but I was so tired I didn't really worry anything about it. And he was like, I'm going to leave the room for a second and double check something. And then he went out, came back in. I'm kind of freaked out a little bit because I'm like, half asleep. What is this? Pitch black. And then all of a sudden, I hear wah, wah, an alarm sound. And it looked like somebody had a strobe light outside the window of his bedroom and of the rest of his house. I flipped, ran out into the hallway. All you see is pitch black light coming through the blinds, just leaking through the blinds, just shining straight. And I was flipping out. He's like, oh my God, they're there. They are there. And he's like, go into the bathroom. Get into the bathroom. So he went into the bathroom. And he was like, This is exactly what happened to me last time. And so we sat in there until he felt like it was good time to get out. So we got up, went back into the bedroom, looked outside. There was nothing there. I was flipped out, and at that point, I really felt like we were just almost picked up by aliens. The next morning, we wake up. We walk out front into his front yard, and he says, "This is what happened last time as well. I came out here, and we went into the direction of the light, and there was a big burnt mark in the grass. In the summer, down here in Florida, I know other places too, in the summer, the sun is so hot, it beats down on the grass, and there's actually burnt marks in the grass. There was one area that was like a big circle. And he's like, look, that's where it landed. I didn't know that had happened. I really thought that was a mark from where a spaceship landed. He's like, and here's the footprints. And there was burn marks in the grass that looked like footprints. And it was like, it blew me away. And they were walking towards the house. And I flipped out. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so crazy. And I really felt like we had almost got abducted by aliens. We went inside and we watched more of that stuff, and I was like, man, that's the same experience we had. And he was like, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Isn't it? You didn't believe me at first, but and so like the whole day we were talking about it, and like it was Sunday because we woke up on Sunday, and I think I was going to church with my family with my dad, with my family that night. I think my parents were still married at that time, and we went at 7 o'clock on Sunday night, so I was already back home. And before I went to church, he either called me or something and said, I got something to tell you tomorrow. You're not going to believe it. And I'm like, okay. So we go to school. No, we didn't go to school. That was part of that summer. I think we were like at the Boys and Girls Club. I'm pretty sure we were somewhere. I think like at a summer camp with like the local Boys and Girls Club, because I was involved with that and so was he. That's what it was. And so we had something that Monday we were going. It was like the final week. We didn't go every day, but that was like the final week. And he came up to me in the morning and he was like, so I have a confession to make. And I was like, what? He's like, there was no aliens. I was like, what? It's all there. What are you talking about? We saw the footprints. You had the compass. We saw the lights. And he was like, no. I was kidding. It was a joke. I pulled a prank on him earlier in the week. I can't remember what the prank was, and he was just getting me back. The burn marks in the grass were from the sun. There was little patches. That happens sometimes. The patches, wasn't footprints. The compass was broken. That's as simple as that. It was always going to point in that direction because everything was broke. It was completely broken. It didn't swivel and go like it really just stayed in one position. And since he held it in that one position and said, "Look, that's where it's at," of course I'm going to think it's there. Now you might be asking, well, what about the sound and the lights? Back in those days, and you still see them around, and especially in Florida, there's a lot of mosquitoes and there's a lot of bugs and insects. So late at night, the city has these big trucks, and they go around, and the trucks have very bright lights, almost strobe type lights that go around just to they're like police lights, but they're like white. They may have been yellow, but it looked white coming through the thing at that time of night. And they go around like that, and they are loud because they're spraying the air to kill the mosquitoes and all that kind of stuff. And the little alarm was something that was on the actual truck that went off to let people know they were going down the street. And I was like, so we really didn't. And for so long after that, I was thinking, I was like, man, I wish he didn't. Like, I think the idea of almost getting kidnapped by aliens was cooler than getting lied to about it. So that is my story about almost getting kidnapped by aliens, but of course it didn't happen. It wasn't true. So, yes, so that is the story. I am gullible just as bad, even to this day. I am gullible. I fell for it, but I think back and the memories of that whole summer, the memories of that situation are ingrained in my brain. And literally, I mean, the visuals were there. I really, if I even think back, it was really true. Obviously, it wasn't true, but visually, it could have been true. And it's just so crazy how gullible I was. But the story itself is so fun to think about. Um, and he's also another friend that, after that summer, we kind of faded away a little bit. I was hanging out with some other people, and he was too. We didn't reunite until, even though he stayed living there, we didn't really reunite until seventh grade. So it was about 3 years later, 3 or 4 years later, and we were really close again. And I was always at his house. I think he had some issues with school, and I think he was actually going to be switching schools. I can't remember, but something happened. I think it wasn't that he moved. Oh, he was actually changing. He was going to different classes, so we weren't going to be actually seeing each other as much. And slowly but surely, we lost contact. And I didn't see him for years. And by the time I was in high school, I think, I don't, last I saw of him, and we knew each other for years, I saw him walking down 3rd Street, which is like the main street in Jax Beach, and he was walking down 3rd Street, I think going to a job or something like that, but I know he went through some struggles, and I haven't talked to him in, you know, this year celebrates my 10th year, my 10th, 10-year class reunion, and I haven't seen him since high school, and I think the last time I saw him was probably like in 9th grade. And I'm friends with his. He doesn't have a Facebook or nothing like that. I'm friends with his brother on Facebook, and I hear he's doing all right, but I don't. And that's another situation, like another instance where people just come in and out of your life, and it's crazy. You could be so close to somebody for so long, and then just life pulls you in different directions. And yeah, I miss the guy. I think I'm eventually going to try to find a way to get in touch with his brother and actually maybe see if I can get in touch with him, meet up for a cup of coffee and just catch up on things, because we were close for a while. And yeah, so more stories like this to come, because I have a ton of these kind of stories. I might do like a once a week nostalgia story. There's definitely locations that I could go to. I just didn't go to his house because his parents still live there. I'm not going to go film in front of his house and do a location video like that. But there's other stuff that I could talk about, memories and stuff, and actually be at the location. So that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this vlog. Sorry that yesterday's vlog got up so late. I woke up, realized I had to go run a couple errands, and I had to be at work. And usually when I wake up is when I edit the vlogs. I don't even get out of bed. I edit the vlog before I even get out of bed. I press save and render as I'm showering, or I press it and then I go shower, and when I get out of the shower, I upload the video. Or I go to work and then upload the video. Today it just didn't work out. I had a very extremely busy day at work, crazy busy day at work. I could barely look at my phone, and so I couldn't upload it until I got home from work this evening. So on my break at work towards the end of the night, I edited it, uploaded it when I got home, and now that is why it took forever to get up. 12 hours late getting it up just because of my crazy day. But either way, I would have made time to get it up. I just couldn't. And I knew I could do it when I get home anyways. So that's why that went up later. So if you haven't seen that one because you didn't really see me share it on Facebook or you didn't see it in your inbox, it's a normal time that it's on there. Just scroll back and check it out. So tomorrow I'm gonna be getting to those answers for you guys with all the questions. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.